If you like your extreme metal in Spanish, head down to the Park Theatre on June 12th to see Mexican metal band Brujeria, along with Canadian punk legends Dayglow Abortions, Incite, and local Suburban Hypocrites. This week's episode of Witchpolice Radio is brought to you by Fourth Quarter Records. It's a Winnipeg-based label and recording studio home to Three-Peat, as well as Eggs solo projects and Charlie Feta. You can find their merchandise, including the awesome new Three-Peat hoodies, online at fourthquarterrecords.com. And if you haven't seen these things, you should definitely check them out. I mean, a lot of local artists are wearing them right now, and it's very cool to see the support from across genres. As soon as those Three-Peat hoodies came out, I've been seeing all kinds of people posting on social media, and it's, people in rock bands, electronic music, soul music, whatever. They're all sort of sporting the Three-Peat gear. So there's definitely a lot of love and support for Three-Peat within the local music community at large, and it's very cool to see.
You're listening to Garbage Hill, Winnipeg's first podcast network.
All right, well, welcome to Witchpolice Radio. I'm in the food court again. This seems like a common place I end up a lot of the time doing these, but it's just nice and central, right? So it works out.
Is it like really convenient for you, basically, and for everyone else?
Yeah, because it's like, I do my regular Monday night podcasts, like at people's houses and jam spaces and whatever, and then this is just if I have some time on my lunch hour, central meeting location, and I've been doing a lot here actually.
Do you notice a lot of noise?
Yeah, yeah, I sure do.
When you're transferring it. Is it a problem at all? Or
no, because the volume, the way these mics pick it up is the volume of the voices is so much louder.
Right.
The background noise, you forget about it in 5 minutes, so it's...
It just becomes atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. Noise. And every once in a while you hear some kids screaming or something and it jumps out of the mix. Yeah. But
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
For us, I don't know if that's a big deal, kids screaming.
Yeah, no, it's kind of standard, right, at this point, yeah. So, if you don't recognize the voice here with me, it is someone who's been on the show a lot. Not recently, I guess.
No.
It's been a while, but Elliot Walsh, also known as Nestor Wynrush, and probably a bunch of other names still, or are those the two, the real name and the stage name?
Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Sure, okay. All right.
Or Ness.
Or Ness, right. Yeah. So, yeah. And you, from what I can tell anyway, it seems like you're slowly moving toward releasing things that have been long in the works, right? Like I keep, every few months there'll be like a single, and then
it's basically an accumulation of works. So I don't know when this is going to air, but it doesn't even matter. Just that for sure there's going to be a live mixtape that's being recorded at the beginning of June. So we're doing that at the Tallest Poppy. Got a cast of characters that are going to be recording songs. It's based on the premise of the idea of home.
Okay.
So we're just exploring that whole idea.
Like whatever that means to the people.
Whatever that means to you. So there's general ideas that I give to the MCs or the singers to work with, but most of it's just about, in general, what is your idea of home?
Okay.
Some of it's about like you being home for a while or being away from home, that idea of longing, of maybe anticipation or anxiety of going back. Maybe you left something behind,
right? And
you're going back and you haven't dealt with it for a while. Those are issues. Got someone that's writing with a bunch of their youth in their drop-in and just talking about the nature of being homeless and addiction and mental illness and that sort of issue. Like you're not even feeling at home in your own body.
Okay.
Like it's very, very interesting and just these diverse ideas. And when you deal with a cast of really talented people, I think the best will come out.
Yeah, for
hopefully.
Sure.
Like it's an experiment.
Well, I want to try and make this jump the queue and release it before the actual show happens. Cool. Because it sounds like a really cool idea. How does a live mixtape actually work? Like, what's because I saw the event and I'm like, well, I kind of get what this is, but I'm not sure if I'm fully.
It's a matter of making sure you got the right sound person in place.
Yeah.
And then presenting it like it's a live show, like having different elements involved, like in terms of keeping people's eyes on what is going on. And ignoring the fact that it's actually being recorded.
Right.
Having a mic in the audience and giving all these people a bit of hints of what to do, because I'm just thinking about like the Curtis Mayfields, Johnny Hathaways, all those albums that were recorded basically in a smaller room.
Sure.
And how they were picked up, the ambiance of basically like here.
Yeah, you hear someone in the background saying something. Yeah.
And you want to feel like you're there. That's all.
Okay.
And also the people that are a part of it, maybe give them one chance to hear each other's verses or parts and do a bit of practice, and then it's live to basically in front of everybody else. I'm almost seeing these songs at the same point like brand new as the audience.
That's awesome.
Which is cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
So I like that idea of unexpected, maybe improvisation.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm dealing with professionals, so even the improvisations will have maybe that stroke of genius to it. You know
Sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we've got Steve, part of 3P, making the beats.
Oh, right on.
With Osani Valkaran, who works at 393 and is a youth mentor to many.
Okay.
He's gone through the ranks of lots of our programs, and he's a good producer and rapper in his own right these days. So just trying to give a good mix of now the young people or the younger artists, and then like some of the vets, see what happens basically, you know?
So is your role just as a curator of this basically? You're just sort of controlling who's where? I
don't really know about controlling, but giving ideas.
You're selector?
Yeah, selector, yeah. But, so it will flow. We want the show to flow and to be consistent. So once the program starts, you get a good, hopefully 30 minutes of programming that's really awesome. I'm going to play like 2 songs in it that I think fit in.
Like songs that you have previously?
Yeah. Or actually songs that people haven't heard. So anyways, and then just we're going to have it go to cassette that day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because we have Anthony, so AOKS, so AOKS, I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Right, I've seen that on the internet, I don't know how you say it. Yeah.
So they're DJing because it's a synonym wall-to-wall kind of party. They're first Fridays. So after we play, they go on and do like a 2-hour set, and during that time, Crab Skull is going to be recording it because he has his tape company.
Right, yeah.
And he's going to be dubbing cassettes.
Like live at the show. That's awesome.
Live at the show. So we're going to make a master of the live and just hand it out so people have stuff to walk away with.
That's super cool.
Might be limited copies because there's only so much time.
Timeline, yeah.
But it'll be dope, and then put it to SoundCloud or whatever else.
Yeah.
So
is the whole thing being recorded, or just certain parts of it?
Whole thing.
Okay, so
from beginning to end.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
So it's like I hope that my general idea is maybe there'll be 2 issues out there that are floating around. One that is the cassette version.
Yeah.
And then one that I've listened to and actually edited just a little bit. So you get a bit smoother.
Right, you get the one that just happens right there.
Right there, and then so it's like if you get the cassette, you have something that no one else has. Basically.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think is pretty awesome.
Where did the idea for this come from? Has this been
I did a live recording in 2009.
The one that's on Marathon of Dope?
That's on Marathon of Dope, and I always liked live records.
Yeah, I do too.
And I just think right now in Winnipeg, there's so many talented people that it could be pulled off.
Yeah, I think so.
And the funny thing is that now I've seen that there's a few of these kind of ideas of live mixtapes now surfacing here and there.
Okay.
So it's like, I think it's just in a way kind of time for something like this to happen. And honestly, I'm just feeling creative.
Yeah.
It's
an interesting way to do something creative too, right? Because you're getting so many people involved, and
and it's forcing me to actually release something.
Right, yeah.
It's I got all of us creatives out there. We have these bursts of creativity, and then we don't want to release them, or we keep them to ourselves, and we don't think it's perfect or whatever it is. And this is one example of just forcing it to happen and not caring if it's perfect. You just take it as it is. And I think that the people are good enough that are working the project, and it will be fantastic no matter what. And as much as my hands are off of it, the better. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting the way you kind of described the creativity thing, because I did one of these Robert Crooks last week or 2 weeks ago. Sure. And I don't know if it'll be out by the time this comes out, but and we were sort of talking about the same thing. And I kind of feel like he is another guy like that who will sort of agonize over getting the perfect version of what he's working on. And my attitude when I was in bands and stuff was just, as soon as it's done, move on to the next thing.
Man,
and I would want to release literally everything, right? So I think there's like the two opposite ways of doing stuff. And there's bad things about both and good things about both.
It's funny because I know with your podcast, it's as much as possible that is in that interview live, you want to keep.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And it's like, and now you say about bands, that's what you want to
It's the same thing. I wanted content, massive amounts of content, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and I know Cripps and I have had these conversations before too, in terms of, he's like me in a way, like, you hear something you've made and you just don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like you want to delay that feeling also. But yeah, it's hard. It's a balancing act, man.
Yeah. Well, because the benefit of the way you and Rob do it, I guess, would be that like the thing that actually gets released is probably going to be something that's actually as close to perfect as you can get it. Whereas doing it the way I do it, you can end up with a bunch of shit, right? Because you're rushing things.
It's a fine balance, though, right? I find that I don't want things necessarily perfect too.
Yeah.
There's only so much you could beat your head against the wall. And you want people to feel that fluidity of what you're doing, as opposed to being structured like everything else out there and polished. But you want the message. I guess the message is more important to me than anything.
Right. So you have to work on that to get that.
Yeah, as long as I got what I'm saying across. In the way that I want to say it, and whatever interpretation people take from that, that's fine. But I said it the way I want to say it, and it's always been a big thing for me, is being judged on what I actually said. As opposed to, I messed up that line, and now someone's going to read it this way, and it's like, that's not what I wanted to say necessarily. Right. Which is a big deal. mess up on one detail continuity-wise.
Yeah.
And I know some people think that's kind of anal or a bit drab or over dramatic, but it's some people really emphasize the rhythm and the beats and all that a lot more. And yeah, you want those hitting, but it's like you go and talk to the person mixing and engineering it. That's their job.
Yeah.
Your job as a performer is hitting those notes, and sometimes they're going to be off, and you like that just a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not making someone want to turn it off.
Well, that's an interesting thing too, because this has actually come up quite a bit on the show over the years of doing it. Is that my impression of Winnipeg in general, and this is more in certain types of music than others, but is that Winnipeg audiences like to hear something that's slightly broken.
Because we are?
Yeah. Right. I feel like, I mean, a good example is like country music, right? There's so many people doing roots stuff, folk, country, bluegrass, all of that. And it seems like the ones that are most popular are the ones that are a little bit rougher around the edges, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
And like the strictly polished country stuff, there's big fan bases for that, but it's not... It doesn't have the same like fanatical following as someone who's a little bit rough and maybe a little bit off key or a little bit darker, you know. And I don't know if that's a Winnipeg thing or just an everybody thing, but it definitely screams Winnipeg to me a little bit. Kind of like when you said we're broken.
Yeah. It's
I don't have a question there. It's
people out there think about that. It's because most of your listeners are based in Winnipeg, right?
Yeah, most of them are musicians, like as far as I can tell, anyway. So
yeah, and it's just. I really feel that an artist should be a reflection of where they're from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or what they are from. So those are two different things. But along the same, I guess the same tree of thought.
Yeah.
So it's like we're raised in an environment from people that came from a different environment. So you are a product of that.
Yeah.
But also you should be a person or an artist being a conduit of the actual physical place that you are from.
Yeah.
And you can't avoid it.
No, it's going to come out regardless.
Really yeah, no matter what. And I don't care if you're from Tuxedo, North End, Maples, like St. Boniface. There are certain elements that all of us share being there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is strange. But it comes out.
But then
it really does.
That kind of ties into something else that is related to the whole brokenness thing. Is that I think that Winnipeg in general, like the music audience, has a really high bullshit detector.
Yeah.
Like people, they recognize authenticity.
Yeah.
Like if someone's being real about where they're from and however they're expressing that, you get it. And there's so many people who try to sound like something that's distant from what they actually are, and it doesn't work, or the audience picks up on it, right?
It's super dope when I see a guy like. There's some of you guys out there, Lavish and I always mispronounce this man's name. Oh man. Anyways, there's a bunch of South End rap dudes.
Yeah.
And I like to see on their Insta where they claim the South End, where they're from.
Yeah.
And just because that's where I grew up as well.
Right.
Like, before I moved to Saga, and. It's cool. I always love hearing dudes shout out the North End or like women and men like shout out where they're from, because it's like a gloat, but it is who you are.
It is, yeah. Even if you move away, you're still.
Even if you move away, it's this whole debate of I get it with, and I know that most of us being older, we get into these debates with our friends, and I know the neighborhood that I was from, in Saga in particular, we'd always make jokes of somebody's not really from there.
Right.
Because they only went to high school there, and you got to be a few years removed from being high school, so you had to be like there from maybe middle school.
Yeah.
Or like...
To be a legitimate member,
member of the neighborhood. So, and then when you move away, that is who you always are.
Yeah.
Like, which is those formative years basically make you who you are.
Well, you can't take that away from your personality. It goes with you, yeah.
And this goes back to like all the music that you liked growing up, and that was from Winnipeg, or the PNC Guys. Right?
Yeah.
Like Peanuts and Corn as artists, I took them for granted. in the Toronto region don't really listen to them.
Right.
They were really hardcore into who they were.
Yeah, they sound like they're from here,
Yeah,
which is what I like about them, yeah.
And their lyrics are laced with references, even sometimes they're inside jokes.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, they never shied away that they're from Winnipeg or from Brandon.
Yeah.
And people don't get that. Like, at that time, you're either New York artists and proud, or Los Angeles, or
the South, right?
Or the South, or even before the South.
Yeah.
The South was even hiding that they were from the South. Like,
Right, they're trying to sound like New York. Or
trying to sound like they're from New York, like production-wise, so on and so forth. And this, so this outpost, Winnipeg, became this springboard of ideas to so many other artists that were out there. And it's only through time that I've realized the impact that those cats had on a lot of other rappers.
For sure, yeah.
And artists. But anyways.
But no, I always like hearing local references, even if I don't get the reference.
Yeah.
In anyone's music. I mean, someone could be from like somewhere in Africa and they're talking about some town that I'd never heard of before. But it's cool because like there's something connected to it. That they're obviously emotional and spiritual.
I was sitting down with this one youth, and I should just say like I do instructing at Studio 393 Graffiti Gallery. It's a satellite of the Graffiti Gallery. It's at the Skywalker. It's a youth drop-in. We deal with dance, music, and art. But anyways, so one youth came in, and he was just dropping some rhymes, playing some music he made. And he was from somewhere in Africa, Western Africa.
Okay.
And so he's rapping, I'm listening to him, and I'm just like, dude, there's no reference of where you actually are from.
Yeah.
Like, put in a bit of that. I mean, he was I saw his eyes open, his mind was blown.
Like that he could do that.
Yeah, that he could do that. It's just like, yo, you can put in a few words from whatever you speak. Like, if it's, you want to put a bit of words from French or your native tongue, like,
you should do it.
How many languages do you speak? It doesn't have to be the whole way through, even though you can have a few songs like that. But if you want to do English, you can throw in a few words from where you're actually from.
Yeah.
So it becomes almost like that authenticity, but also when your people listen to it, like in the community,
they hear it and pick up on it.
They hear that and they're like, that's just for us.
Yeah, for sure.
And
sure.
It's like, so Winnipeggers saying Winnipeg stuff, and they know it may go over some people's head, but anybody that's listening to it, like, in Churchill or in Calgary, or they're like somewhere else, and they're like, oh, that was for me.
Yeah, for sure. I have a really good example of that, actually. Not outside of hip hop too. I mean, like, Propaganda is so huge, right?
Yeah,
massive, and they have so many Winnipeg references and hockey references in their songs. And I know I've mentioned this on the show before because I love it. But there's a video of them playing in Australia, and they have the song "Dear Coach's Corner," and the song is specifically about Ron McLean and Don Cherry, right? And it's like about specific things that happen on that show, and the entire crowd is singing along. And he's naming all these like cities he's been to and played on Ringsat and stuff, and it's very much about Canadians and hockey, and like they don't even probably know what hockey is, but it means something to them. And then for the Canadians listening, and you're like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's good. They did that also with they had a song where they referenced those billboards that were on Broadway. It's like "We Stand United with America" after 9/11.
Wow, okay.
And they reference those in the song. And I mean, to anyone listening outside of Winnipeg, and they even said on Broadway, right? It's just a reference to some kind of political thing. But like when I first heard that, I was like, holy shit, I walk past those every day, like on my way to work, and it means something more, I think, to get that.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. There's so many stories that need to be told, and we're in this age of where diversity and representation really matters.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, not necessarily matters, but people actually care about it.
People are interested, yeah.
Yeah, they're interested. And it's like, I want to hear references to areas by Turtle Island, like the center there. I want to hear, like, references to East Kildonan or off of Layla. Like, I want those stories to trace, because from neighborhood to neighborhood, there's different things that happen. And I'm a firm believer in that us as artists, we are the reporters, we are the columnists, we are all these things that we are responsible for telling. Even when we're having a party, making party jams.
Yeah.
They are of us.
For sure,
and not to betray those things, you know?
Absolutely.
And it's really important. It's like, if you're from St. Vital, rap like you're from St. Vital.
Exactly,
Whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
Just rap like it. Like, if you are Métis, rap like, have some references. some cultural shit in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like an obligation, but don't hold it back. Like if you're saying, oh, no one's gonna get this reference because it's too specific to me. No, put it out there because it is specific to you.
Yeah. Well, just one more example of something like this that I've been thinking of since we've been talking about it. There's these guys in Winnipeg who are. It's a Polish group, Polish-Canadian group, and they do a lot of dub and reggae. And when I first interviewed them, I just thought this is cool. These Polish guys playing reggae, and I had this preconceived notions of what kind of stuff they were listening to based on hearing their stuff. And it turns out there's this massive scene of Polish reggae in Poland that is very different from the Jamaican stuff, and they were based on that basically. That's what they were listening to. And the guy gave me a mix CD, and it was like it broke my understanding of what they were doing because it's very distinctly Polish reggae, and these guys are in Canada are now doing that and making their own thing. Winnipeg influenced Polish reggae, which is weird, but it's like very, very, very specific, and it's cool. And now that I know the background of what they were influenced by, it's like a whole new thing. I liked it first of all, but now I like it more having kind of understood the weird way it got to here, kind of.
So it would work basically the same way that English reggae is its own, I guess, sub-culture of Jamaica reggae, the root.
Right,
basically.
right. And like as someone, from an English background, I mean, I heard a lot of English reggae growing up. And so that got me into the Jamaican stuff. So if I started a reggae band, I don't know what it would sound like. I mean, maybe it would be influenced by the English stuff more than the Jamaican stuff because that's sort of the,
Whoa.
It's weird, right? Yeah.
We're in an interesting world.
Yeah, it's really strange. It's cool though. I mean, you get exposed to so much more stuff.
Yeah, it's always wonder about the line of appropriation,
right,
and then appreciation, and like it becoming something else.
Oh, where does it go from to do its own thing?
Yeah. Like there's a line.
There is,
of appreciation that happens, but it's then what it morphs into, kind of thing. And I'm just going on these tangents.
No, it's interesting. I like the topic.
It's in being in this city, it's like what was cool about growing up in Toronto and going back to this like whole mixtape idea of home and place. Like it means something different to everyone, right? And something that can't be taken for granted. So just thinking about growing up in the Greater Toronto area, in Mississauga and Cooksville specifically, and just hearing how everything was influenced by like West Indian slang and music and jargon, and didn't even become prevalent. It was always shunned. Like that's too Canadian sounding.
Right.
No one in New York says those things.
That's where you want to go to get big.
Yeah. And then it's like Drake explodes, and now everyone's used that kind of slang.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so being in Winnipeg though, and seeing the influence of like this being Treaty 1 territory, but like land of Anishinaabe and like Dakota, and you got your Cree and Ojibwe and so on and so forth, right? So, but the influence of the First Nations people in the music now.
Yeah.
And like I'm talking about in rap and in electronic music, it's so heavy.
Yeah.
And it's good. Like this is the music that you chose as your art form, but influence.
You bring your culture into it.
Bring your culture into it, which is, in a weird way, that's what hip hop is.
Sure. Yeah.
It's always been this taking sounds and melding them in, and it becomes something else, but still in the same vein of being hip hop.
Well, do you know Chuck Copenes?
Yeah, of course.
That guy's doing this. I mean, with jazz, he's doing the same thing. Like
he's actually been by Studio 393. Good dude. Actually,
awesome
really
dude,
super intelligent. In terms of, and I don't want to. I say intelligent, but it's because I don't want to use the word genius because I don't know him enough.
Yeah.
But
you know what I mean?
He's
He's bringing
average.
that culture into
He's above average in terms of perception and understanding and digesting things and making things happen. Yeah. So if I say he's pretty much genius, just take my word.
No, I mean, based on his music alone. I mean, I actually interviewed him right here.
Okay.
A few months ago. But
so, So he explains how he was trying to break down playing his instrument and finding the rhythms and so on of just like the drum, the circle,
exactly,
and round dancing and all that. And it was like, because it was so important to him that his culture comes into jazz music.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. It really is. It's like I don't have to hide myself.
No, we shouldn't.
Music should be always changing and going with the people.
Yeah.
Because it needs to speak for the people. Because a lot of the time, us as a mass or collective, we are ignored.
Yeah, yeah.
So music sometimes is the only way you get in those ears of people that necessarily wouldn't be in your circle.
Yeah.
Per se.
And if they're all trying to sound like someone from the States or whatever, it doesn't work. You don't get it. Yeah.
And then you become that inspiration for that next generation of kids. And it doesn't even have to be those kids from your cultural background.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just that some kids listen and be like, oh my gosh, this is different than what I was listening to, but this is from where I'm from, or they're doing something distinctly of them, so I could do something distinctly.
For sure, yeah.
Like, I have value. My voice has value, which is amazing.
Yeah, and then they take whatever they're getting from there and moving it on to with their own thing, and then,
So it's all those things, man.
Yeah.
Got me
kind of like how this has turned into like the topic of the mixtape is sort of the home thing. We've been getting in there, like, yeah.
This is also another thing of this idea of home. I want people to really examine those ideas.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing about your home? What are you doing for the place that you live, the community that you live in? How do you fit in? Like, how are you relating to people in your family?
Yeah.
Like, just have those conversations of priorities of where you live.
Yeah.
And have pride. Like, this is only one bit of part of that conversation, but it's Winnipeg's a special place, and some people say that we overstate it, because I think like for 20 years ago, 15 years ago even, we were really silent as Winnipeggers to the rest of Canada and the world in general.
It was kind of like we were ashamed of it almost.
Yeah, we're kind of ashamed. Yeah. And it's like, no. We are the home of WR.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
We are the home of so much change. And
well, the general strike, all that stuff.
The general
history is,
like, it forms a socialism and this hybrid of socialism and capitalism. And I know people out there are like, what's this guy talking about? And these academics out there. But at the root of it, it's like Saskatchewan and Manitoba are these weird bastions of we are capitalists, but you got to still look out for the people.
Well, you can do like Tommy Douglas and
it's like you really need to look out for the people, and that's what the overall consensus should be. It's you're making money, look out for someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it will help them and help us out all in the bigger term.
Yeah, which I think happens locally in art for sure.
I
mean,
it's totally that's what happens in art. And ideas. You're not like. I'm not into this whole high school idea of you have your own cliques and all that. I try to avoid that as much as possible. It's hard to avoid.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's people that you relate to and get along with a lot more.
Well, because you have the same points of reference, right?
Yeah, point of reference. Or there's just relationships that have been built over time.
Yeah,
right?
of course. Yeah.
And you can't disregard those, and you only have so much time in your hand. And you don't want to disregard those. But it's... Yeah, sometimes just stepping out of yourself and trying to create new things.
Yeah.
And trying to bring up the younger cats in there and give opportunities so their voices get to be heard.
Yeah.
And
well, that's usually how it works, right? Is like some younger artist is going to get I don't know what the word is, like pushed almost by an existing established one to get heard.
And it's I think it's inevitable that people that are coming up, they just come up because there's that perseverance.
Yeah. And now it's so easy for them to do it too. It's changed completely, right?
It is. It's completely changed. But you also want people to feel like included and to understand that even if they came up by themselves, that there is a community around them.
Yeah.
So that if there's maybe, I don't know, something happens with internet controls or getting music off of SoundCloud is not the prevalent way of doing things anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you're still going to have to work within a community and look out for someone that's right behind you that's maybe not getting their chance and you think is just as talented.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah, there could be more for sure.
And it's just, I don't know if you listen to that Chance the Rapper, he just did a speech at a university.
I read about that. I didn't read it.
And so he gets into this whole thing of surpassing the people that were before you.
Okay.
That's your obligation, especially as and I'm going to say this as black people.
Okay.
And your responsibility is like moving, doing things. Like, people sacrificed before you.
Right.
And it wasn't as easy. And your job is to innovate, but also help out the other people.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't in your speech, helping out the other people, but it's like, that's how you get away.
Yeah.
And, anyways. Now I sound like a communist. I'm just a Winnipegger.
Yeah, I think most of us probably sound like communists if you take it to a certain point, yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a terrible thing, but it's, I don't want to misrepresent myself. It's just, I have these thoughts, and I really believe in community, and whatever community that is that you're in, there's there are people that need opportunities. So,
Sure. So give them the opportunities. Yeah.
So give them opportunities.
Awesome. So do you have? I know in the past year or so you've had a couple of songs that have come out of your own work.
Oh, we're on that
Yeah,
again?
yeah. Let's go on that a little bit. Just to switch gears here a bit. Do you have? You get T-shirts now. I noticed that too as well. So you're.
Oh, yeah.
So what's happening with your own?
All
releases?
the stuff that I have that's supposed to be EP with Roddy.
Yeah.
McEnroe.
Yeah.
It's all with McEnroe right now, which
Okay,
is good.
okay.
So that comes out whenever he decides to put it out.
Right.
Which we haven't been able to say for years. And so I've redone a few things, and now I'm more content.
Okay.
And then got a 7-inch that's going to be put out
Yeah.
sooner than later,
Okay.
which features. It's already been out on SoundCloud and all the streaming services
Yeah.
like iTunes, Spotify,
And a bunch of guests on it, right?
and a bunch of guests.
Yeah.
So it's like got Bird of Prey, it's got Len Bowen,
Yeah.
my buddy Bad Matters, who does the 204 YWG
Yeah.
204 shirts, Yai from Peanuts and Corn, and we're just making rap reference songs. And on the B side is a song with Dario Williams of Grand Analog.
Cool.
And that's produced by our buddy Stace Prince out in Vancouver. And the A side's produced by a guy named Moonshine. So,
Okay.
yeah, I got a few things coming out.
Cool. But obviously the most pressing is the live mixtape.
Yeah, it's a live mixtape, and it's the one that I have the least voice on,
Yeah.
which is good, because then I can listen to it.
Right, you don't have to. Yeah. You don't have to judge your own
Yeah,
performance.
I'm actually enjoying the idea of being able to witness something happen and then being able to listen to it later and being blown away.
Yeah.
And be able to pick it apart. It's all new to me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And I hope that other people out there get that joy out of it as well, and keep pushing that envelope.
Yeah.
Like, we need that. We really need that, and to tell our stories. Tell our stories.
Yeah. Which is, I think, what a lot of people are trying to do now.
Yeah,
There's more
it's-
emphasis on that.
It's great because I know that when I first came out, and I really put an emphasis on that. And I like that the world has really changed.
Yeah.
Really has changed.
Well, yeah, you were talking about being from Winnipeg like 10 years ago.
Well, like
Longer than that. Yeah,
17.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And like just, I remember there was a time that I was doing. Oh, this makes me sound old. But just to give reference, I was doing these fundraisers, small fundraisers, for the Children's Rehab Center, just attached to some shows.
Yeah.
And I had someone come up to me and they were like, "Why do you care about your legs now?" And it's like, well, I always care about
Yeah, why wouldn't
my
you?
artificial limbs, but I actually have now a channel, a vessel, to communicate about that there's a place that goes and does fitting for kids.
Yeah.
And helps out children with disabilities. And I want people to know about it. So
Yeah, for sure. Why wouldn't you?
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And it's like, if something's near and dear to you or attached to you, I wouldn't say you have the obligation, but it's a lot easier to talk about it and bring attention to it.
Yeah, it is for sure.
So,
Especially if you have some kind of platform too.
oh yeah, you have some sort of platform. It's like, you do it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I chose to do it.
Yeah.
And right now I'm talking about it again.
Yeah. Well,
So,
yeah.
Children's Rehab Center. Go check it out. I think they moved to Notre Dame.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, so it's they got like, there's an old garment factory, and they renovated, and I believe
cool.
they're there now.
Cool.
And that's through a lot of fundraising from wonderful people like yourselves that listen,
Yeah.
and a lot of private donors, and so yeah, that's there's a lot of things that are easier for us to talk to because it's part of our everyday
Yeah.
experience. But if you're not talking about it, sometimes how do people know about it, right? So,
Well, especially now that they're presented with so many different options of things to
Oh,
read
yeah.
about or listen to, or yeah.
and it's cool. I want to, as a listener, I want to be enlightened about something that I don't know,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
or hearing something more about something that I know just a little bit about. We're humans. We're here for only so much time, and some of us may think it's a waste of time trying to understand other people.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy the fact of trying to understand other
For sure, yeah. Otherwise, what's the point, right?
Oh yeah. So what's the point? Like, there's so many of us on this planet. We're gonna run into each other all the time.
Yeah.
You might as well learn how to cope with each other.
Yeah, for sure.
And appreciate, actually.
Yeah.
Appreciate and cope. So.
And share.
Yeah, and share
your own.
So it's like,
yeah.
it's big. We're storytellers. We're walking stories.
Yeah.
We're footprints.
Well, everybody has one too, which is like the thing with like, I mean, anyone can do something like this. They can take a recorder and interview someone, and they should, or they can take a camera on their phone and document something. Like, it always astonishes me that now that all this technology is available and people can just do this so simply, people do the opposite. Like everyone has these kind of everything's disposable now. When you have the opportunity to keep things, I've seen a lot of people just like, you know, they'll do a show. No, they won't record it, even though you can do it. You have it there. I mean, you don't have to do it professional, but my thinking has always been, if I'm doing anything, any kind of project, I want to document the shit out of it, just because if I'm putting the time and effort into it, it's got to be important, at least to me. You know what I mean? And maybe it'll be worthwhile to someone else, but there's a lot of stuff that just gets thrown away.
But it's interesting though too, right? It's like you get into this whole talk of you say everything's thrown away to a point, but also the value of just living in that moment.
That's true. That's important also, yeah.
I don't want everything recorded.
I do.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but it's like, I want it that I'm watching something or listening to it, and I'm just watching or listening
That's
to it.
true. Yeah, there's a benefit to being the only, seeing it one time, and then
it just fades, or it becomes something else in your memory,
Yeah.
you know? And it forces you to take something out of it.
Right, you just can't go back to it.
Yeah, you can't go back to it.
That's a good point, yeah.
And so, but there needs to be a balance, right? So it's like, in this world, we need people like you.
Who are archiving things
that
for
are
some
archiving
reason,
things, yeah. And it's just, I didn't know about this. Oh, prime example is, and I've told this story now too many times this last month. When Prince came to Winnipeg, the late great Prince, when he came to Winnipeg and played on his birthday,
he did an after show, right?
And he did the after show. And I went to that at the Rendezvous. Now it's the condos on top of it.
Yeah, it's gone now, yeah.
And I was just the only Prince show I've ever seen. And he played for, I would say, an hour and a half to 2 hours. Might have been more than 2 hours, actually.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that was a fantastic show. But over the years, you start having these conversations of, was that recorded? Like,
yeah.
He does these after party shows, like, on his birthday, like, in Winnipeg now. Where did it go?
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
And then it surfaced.
Oh, someone really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard something about that.
And
yeah,
it's just like, whoa,
yeah.
Someone did it.
Yeah.
And I haven't listened to it, but I feel happy that it actually exists.
So people who missed it, like I wasn't at that show, but now I can go find it.
And now it's like, it's out there.
Yeah.
So Winnipeggers and people outside can actually be like, Prince played here on his birthday for a crazy amount of time after his actual show.
Yeah, yeah.
He indulged another audience and some of the same audience with more of his gifts that go beyond other human beings.
Yeah, definitely that guy, yeah. I don't know, like I feel like lately I've been, over the past, well I've always done this, but over the past year or so I've been kind of hoarding local music to the point where if I go to any thrift store or whatever, I'll look through, and because people are getting rid of CDs now, there's tons of local CDs that are just available for cheap. People have been giving me boxes of CDs of old bands and stuff they don't want anymore, and I'm kind of just trying to collect it. And there's so much of this stuff that just otherwise would have been gone. And there's a lot of bands that I think of that when I was, first started playing in bands in the mid-90s and stuff, they never recorded anything. And I remember them being great, and it just doesn't exist. So that's what kind of bugs me about the disposableness, is like how many great artists that they stopped for whatever reason, that they got a job, quit playing in a band or something, and they had this great thing, and it's just gone. Have you had Bunny on your show yet? I haven't, no. So, whenever I see Bunny post something on Facebook, and for anyone out there, Bunny's like foundation hip hop DJ in the city. I never met him, but I know of him for sure. But just like for the audience to know. And so, we've done like shows with Shades, and they've referenced things, right? Yeah, absolutely. But I was just thinking of like before them and like the Hard Edge Posse, and there's a few other groups that never were fully recorded in terms of an album. Right. And
they opened for like Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince,
Yeah,
or
huge
Boyz
shows.
II Men, or something like that. It's like these people don't exist in a recorded format.
It's weird, yeah.
So they're just forgotten or left to the memory of people in their late 30s or from their late 30s
Into their 40s, yeah.
to their late 40s.
Yeah. And then the 20-year-olds don't never even heard of them.
have no idea.
Yeah, that's what sucks, yeah.
And I mean, if that's the nature of culture, so be it. But I think that's a crime almost.
Yeah.
Like a cultural crime.
Yeah, it's because it's gone. It's just
It's
you can't go get it anywhere.
And these are cats that inspired
The people who
other
inspired the
movements
people who
that
inspired. Yeah.
And it's always good to be able to go back to that. Man, I could talk to you forever.
Yeah.
But we don't have that time.
No, we should probably. Okay, so the show, the June 2nd show,
It's June 1st.
June 1st.
June 1st,
I'm glad
Tallest
that- yeah.
Poppy. Come out, you'll be surprised who's going to be playing there. Some of the normal cast of my homies.
Yeah.
And then just other voices out there. Gonna have 393 included in there, some of the artists.
Okay.
And yeah, just ideas of home. Whatever that means to you.
Cool.
And some good beats and limited capacity.
Yeah, it's a small
for
place.
Friday.
Yeah.
And look for it on SoundCloud and whatever else. I'll try to keep people posted on my Instagram and on Synonyms Instagram as well. And yeah, keep spreading that word. Come on, people.
What is the best way for people to find out more about what you're up to? I mean, aside from this show, is it just Instagram and stuff? Or?
I would say Instagram would probably be the easiest way to find out what I'm doing, and I don't feel all weird about it.
yeah.
It's like you got a few pictures, you see my baby every so often.
Yeah.
My baby. 7-year-old, you don't see the rest of my family because I keep that very private.
Yeah.
Which I love all very much. And yeah, just follow me on Instagram, just Nestor Wynrush.
Okay.
Simple.
Cool.
And yeah, you'll find anything else you want about what I do and other people that I work with from there.
Okay, awesome. And if people want to hear more episodes of this show, you go to witchpolice.com. By the time this comes out, we'll be almost 300 episodes in.
Jeez,
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Congrats,
Yeah,
man.
and so you can get all those dating back to 2012, including a bunch you were on in the early years of it. I mean, you were one of the first guests.
I was gonna say, man, I saw last week or a little while ago the
one you
top
did
10,
yeah,
and I was like, oh, the Black Lives Matter.
That one is up again this week.
It was up, and it was like, wow, people are actually interested in that right now.
That one's been downloaded 50 times this week already again. I don't know what. Someone must have shared it, right? Somebody has obviously shared it, and people are checking it out because this is from like 4 years ago.
Yeah, and I was like, I remember doing that episode and how, just going on this last
Yeah.
night, and as a person that's been writing about just issues of police and black people in Toronto and being shut up a few times about it, and then this whole resurgence of people being aware, just a younger generation, and I remember being confronted with that and going on the show, and I still was trying to gather my thoughts around it. And I probably feel different about it now and more strongly than I did then.
But I mean, you elaborated on it pretty. Like, you went off on it.
I always feel like I don't say enough on those, issues.
Yeah.
And it's also different. And I could say this because sitting there with two of my good friends.
Yeah.
But it's different sitting there with 2 white people, 3 white people, and
Before Rob was there too.
Yeah, and it's like, as opposed to sitting there with a bunch of black people or Aboriginal folk or like Latino, like brown people, just the issues, things that you forgot will resurface. Yeah. And that whole issue. But the people that were there, they're actually in tune with things going on. It was good to see my friends actually making points and they're observant writers. And but yeah, it's really good to see that episode resurfacing, not because I'm on it,
because of what we're talking about.
What was actually being talked about.
It's neat. It's neat that came up. I'm not sure.
It's wild, man.
I don't know where it comes from. Like some episodes, like the propaganda one comes up all the time.
But it's propaganda.
Yeah, and like Fred Penner and stuff. All the kind of high-profile people, they come up all the time. But every once in a while, there'll be like one from 5 years ago, and it's just who found this? Like,
and then who found this? And
who did they share it with? Like,
and how did
I don't know. I don't get that kind of stats from it, so I don't know. But anyway, one more thing I want to say before we finish this is September 30th at the Park Theatre. I am involved in putting on Winnipeg's Manitoba's first podcast festival. And the idea behind this is we're trying to get everyone in the province basically who is doing podcasts to come down, and people who are interested in starting one, want to do DIY radio, anything like that. And we have panels set up with a bunch of people from radio, from the podcast world, people involved in all different kind of creative things in Winnipeg, and it's going to be live podcasts recorded and Q&A session on stage, and we're hoping people in the audience will come ask questions, learn how to use equipment, learn how to do an interview, things like that. We have a panel on women in podcasting. We have all kinds of stuff, and I'm working with Stefan Richard, who does the Digital Drum podcast for APTN. And he interviews a lot of Indigenous musicians across the country.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's a great podcast, and he's involved with it. And Roger Boyer, who is a filmmaker.
Yeah, and Roger's been by 393 before.
So the three of us are kind of putting this together.
Okay.
And
that's a good team.
Yeah. September 30th is the International Podcast Day, apparently.
Okay.
So none of us knew about it, but we thought, okay, it's a cool thing. So it's gonna be like a whole afternoon at the park with info sessions, training stuff. Like basically, just if you want to do what I'm doing or what those guys are doing or whatever, just come down and learn how to do it. Ask questions, meet people. And yeah, that's the idea.
Awesome. Yo, I want to make one last plug.
Sure.
If you got youth that are between the ages of 13 to like mid-20s living at your yard, or if you're listening, come down to 393 Skywalk of Portage Place, between the Bay and Portage Place. It's free, 4 to 8 p.m. Rap studio. You can record, sing, whatever you want.
Cool.
As well as dance. We have dancers. We have some swing workshops, some popping and locking, traditional hip hop, and then also some art happening there too. So,
and it's any kid in that age group?
Any kid in that age group, just come down. It's free, downtown in the core. Just pop by.
Right on.
It's can't say that enough.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks. Good to have you on the show again. So,
okay. Yeah, man. Hey, thank you for having me.
For sure. Thanks a lot.
I'm in the gloomiest outskirts. Johnny, you're too bad. The moodiest outburst, the silliest, furious, serious jeweler, the blurriest picture, the gnarliest ruler. The jury is out, is the audience worthy? I body him fiercely. The Lord has no mercy. With Julius Irving's, you would be worthlings. This dubious worth to the truth that your verse brings. Nothing said, not the first thing is nourishing. Thinking that holding the purse strings a sure thing. Many of those that were kings are now lurking. Used to clown folks, but at least they are working. I need to come up for air like I'm surfacing. Bars more golden than those that you're purchasing. Me and my compatriots are cold murdering. Here's $20, go get us some Burger King.
For a minute, decide to come back, checking in for a second, lay it down on these guys. Like work, too easy game, still music, probably speaks for itself. Streets ain't fury, beats hooked up my 8, more greedy. Wind up 204, you know who he be. Wide that's bird bow in the meat movie. And nickel picnic, move from me.
Rap scholar, graduate with honors. True school, give a fuck about likes, views, followers. Same pivot versus timid. Get playing time, moving on your minutes. Trash top behind a laptop. With the wax smack, don't get slapped by. Bullets, lifeline, did it for respect. You may want to pack it out, send it for a check.
Keep it funky. 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 If you want to put your cast and slip in your top 3 off of my contacts, how could you not be a eventual offspring? Get them a hot drink and fall back. Keep it quick, catching a body. It's good for them. A good for them. Forgetful before a good form. I put on for all the performers who football for those who cut corners. Maybe some rapping, maybe some writing, maybe some cat and kitten get to fighting. Radioactive victim hit with lightning. Sadomasochist kids who just a hype man. It doesn't matter the who's who, I'm who. I got kids who rhyme better than you do. Competitive veteran, put your head on the hoodoo. We're dead and give a credit when the credit is due. Keep it funky. Keep it funky. Keep it funky. Keep it funky.
Condos, cooks for cold 5 ambassadors, all